treasure being hunted by scurrilous people, has the humorous whiff of a yarn spun by a rakugo storyteller, but it also bears a resemblance to a 1931 René Clair film called Les Millions, which was very popular in Japan. In that French film, a winning lottery ticket is left in the pocket of a jacket, the jacket is given to a seamstress to mend, but when a charming criminal needs a disguise to evade police, the seamstress gives the jacket away, setting up a complicated treasure hunt for the jacket and the missing lottery ticket. Also, another film that was a source for today's film, and this was first detected by Japanese film historian Osumi Shigehiko, there's another more overt borrowing. He borrowed from a Hollywood film of the early 30s called Lady and Gent. Now, directed by Stephen Roberts and starring George Bancroft and Wynne Gibson, as well as featuring a very, 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 very young John Wayne in the supporting role, Lady and Gent centres on a part-time boxer, past his prime boxer, and a girlfriend who's a wisecracking showgirl. For the first 40 minutes, the Hollywood film has no apparent connection to Yamanaka. That is until the boxer's manager dies. And as the argumentative couple investigate the dead man's mysterious background, they reluctantly become surrogate parents to a young boy who is the dead manager's secret child. The rest of the Hollywood film deals with the couple's conflicts as they parent the child through to college. Thus, with today's film fresh in your mind, you can guess how Yamanaka has skillfully lifted the middle section of a Hollywood comedy melodrama and transplanted it to the comedy of greed that is the main focus of his film. So there's that kind of this exchange, and this is from Lady and Gent. So the whole deal about delaying telling about the boy's father dying is delayed by food. T.S. Eliot said, "Immature poets imitate, mature poets steal, bad poets deface what they take, and good poets make it into something better." Later, Yamanaka's close friend Ozu demonstrated that this could be done on a grander scale when he and his scriptwriter Noda Kogo shaped Tokyo's story from the raw material of Leo McCary's 1937 film Make Way for Tomorrow. So it's not just the act of doing it, but the skill with which you do it that makes the thieving respectable. While some moments of the interactions between Tange Sezen and the young boy are taken whole as bowlers, there's another kind of thing. So there's this section here. In Lady and Gent, the boy wants to buy a watermelon, whereas in Tange Sezen and the Million Row Pot, the boy wants the stilts. But Yamanaka is nevertheless inventive with the stolen material. So while a Hollywood picture is kind of awkwardly constructed, it's sometimes cloyingly sentimental. So, for example, we don't see the boy being told that his father dies. We just get that solitary shot of the boy from the rear, and we can guess that he's been told. While in the Hollywood film, there's a big blubbering close-up of the boy as the kind of news is coming towards him. So Yamanaka is really able to draw honest material from this, honest emotion from the material without really kind of hammering the buttons home. And that's also evident in the latter scene where the boy, Yasu, overhears his surrogate parents arguing. In a more light-hearted fashion, Yamanaka is also clever with the original exchange that allows the child to explain that he never cries. Tange Sezen's hopeful question, "Never?" is given the obvious retort, and part of the humour comes from that long delay, knowing that the boy's going to say, "Except for that one time when my mother died." While the Hollywood film tries to extract as much emotion from it, Yamanaka takes the opportunity to take the comedy up another notch by giving the former samurai no relief from the discomfort he feels about having to tell a child that his father has died. It's a grim moment from which to score a laugh, but this version of the dilemma has a maturity of wit marks Yamanaka as a sophisticated writer. For your info, Lady and Gent is on YouTube, which is where I saw it, and I'd encourage the curious amongst you to kind of follow it up, because it is worth making the comparison. As well as being a clever writer, Yamanaka's direction was also astute and efficient. Yamanaka once said, "You establish the position of the camera, and after that, it's easy." Yamanaka's shots are often filmed from slightly below, just as Ozu's famously were, and so the audience frequently sees ceilings. They have a greater depth of setting, so that we get a greater sense of the wider environment. And unlike the later Ozu, the more stylized Ozu, they're not square on. You know, we kind of really get a full sense of the space. One of my favourite moments in today's film is the business with the Maneki Neko, the welcoming cat decoration, which I'm sure you're all familiar with, and that's not the view we generally see. You know, a lot of Chinese businesses in current day have adopted the Maneki Neko. Traditionally, it's white. Sometimes they're black, but traditionally they're usually white, and it's supposed to lure money or customers. So, you know, we often mistake that the upright paw is like a wave, but actually it's a cat's paw dragging people in, like that, money and people in. As you recall, because of the Madam Singing, Tanguy Sezin rotates the Maneki Neko as if the cat is affronted by her voice and hates her voice as much as he does. But prior to that action, Yamanaka sets up the joke with the statuette visible in the frame. I'm going to two frames side by side. So go to the Tanguy Sezin. We've got the Maneki Neko over here. Set it up. And that's not so surprising in terms of the shot, but if you look at the other frame, you can see the Yamanaka Neko slightly out of focus on there. So it's just that kind of, really kind of setting up the joke and also setting up the space. You know, that Yamanaka was very, very kind of careful, astute, and I love the transitions from object to object. He does a similar thing with the Durham dolls as well. And just, that's, and again, you know, he takes the care to make sure that the Maneki Neko has been kind of rotated. It's a minor thing, but it's indicative of the director's thoughtfulness. The joke could survive without the cat being there in the before and after shots, but you know, again, it's the care that the director brings to this world. More seriously, and with greater narrative function in the film, is the shot of the mochi that Yasuo leaves behind on the brazier when he overhears his substitute parents argue. It provides the audience with not only the passing of time, but helps build the tension as to where the boy has run off to, and how much longer will it be before the adults notice his disappearance. One of the advantages of Japan being later than other film industries to transition from silent to sound, is that there was time to see how key teething problems were sorted out. So while today's film was made in the first year of Japanese talkies, Hollywood talkies had been going for about 8 years. And so it's devoid of the static nature of early Hollywood talkies. I mean, yes, you can sometimes sense that characters are on a soundstage and positioned below a microphone, but there's a greater sense of movement than there are in early Hollywood talkies. You know, it's a well-crafted film, and it's still, as indicated by your reception today, and it's still an easy watch. In 1955, 17 years after Yamanaka's death, Ozu said, "I am sure if he were alive now, he would be shooting a modern human drama, not a jidaigeki." For me, it is fascinating to imagine what his films would have been like. He was a great talent, and even his death at less than 30 years of age left us a tremendous legacy of films. And we can play that game, and it's clear that when making that statement, Ozu also had in mind the way that his own style and subject matter had changed from the university comedies he made during his silent days to the iconic family dramas that his reputation is built on. Likewise, when considering the increasing sophistication of Mizoguchi, there's no doubt that Yamanaka would have matured further as an artist. However, we can never know what might have been, and we can only hope that even now, one of the lost Yamanaka films, sound or silent, will be miraculously rediscovered. It is true that we also had the animation thing, which I wasn't prepared for. I didn't know that was coming today, to reconstruct an early Yamanaka film. But there's also a 48-second trailer for his first film, The Genta Coast, which is also available on YouTube. Better to celebrate what's here than muse over what might have been. So I'd like to finish here and thank the Japan Foundation for allowing us access, not just for today's Yamanaka film, but the films of his contemporaries as well. One more point for the curious and the cashed up. Yamanaka's other films are playing interstate at the other legs